Hi, everybody. It is episode 543 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. I am Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
How you guys doing?
I'm doing. That's about the best I got.
I assume you're hungry.
A little bit. Little bit.
Don't worry, that little bit of pasta you had will go a long way.
Yeah, no, the chips will hold me over.
Oh, that's good. You got something.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even really all that hungry to begin with when I ordered food. I was just ordering it because I needed to eat something real quick, and I didn't want anything that I have in my house.
I know how that is. I definitely know how that is. Man, it's been a long couple of days. I got nothing.
I hear you. I am coming up with some sort of illness.
You're making one up, or you're just you're getting sick?
You're inventing a new illness. Yeah,
Yes, I'm straight up inventing a new illness. No, like I'm
coming down with an illness.
Coming down with some sort of.
You're as they say, down with the sickness.
Yes. It was probably mid to late Sunday. I just started feeling the back of my throat.
That's gotta be weird.
A light tickle at the back of my throat.
Oh, okay. You said you were feeling the back of your throat. I'm like,
yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, yeah, that's. I mean, honestly, that's the best way I can explain it. Like, I can feel the thing dangling on the back of my throat. And it just hasn't stopped since then. So I still feel the thing dangling on the back of my throat. And I wake up and my throat is a little sore, but it's not too terrible.
Got a little post-nasal going on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's what gets me, is like you get that, which then turns into like the sore throat, which then turns into a cough, and then eventually you just have a full-blown cold for like a week.
Yeah, and I went to go get like emergency and like cold medicine. And apparently Rite Aid is closing?
No. So, this is great. Well, not great, but like it's a thing. A bunch of them have closed. So the one in Westmont, Collingswood, Haddon Township, that one closed. Hundreds of other ones closed. Rite Aid was almost out of business. They filed Chapter 11, but then got like money to basically right themselves. So that store, at least currently, is not set to close. They did not get a truck from like September till December or something like that, which is why they're so empty. But they have gotten some stock back in.
Oh, yeah, they didn't have like cold medicine or anything.
Yeah, no, they're honestly, it's kind of useless to go to that one right now unless you're going to like the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Because a couple times we've been in there and like actually even asked us like, are you guys going out of business? And the people were just like, oh, no, trucks have been delayed. I'm like, that's not what delayed trucks look like, guy. Like,
no, they're just not opening up for you. Like,
yeah, no, I know that, but it's one of those, it's like, yeah, trucks haven't been there in months if you're this empty.
It was wild. And so afterwards I was like, I don't feel like going to Walgreens and CVS. Like, I don't feel like driving that far.
Well, plus at CVS, you can't fucking get any of that stuff anymore. You have to wait 20 minutes for somebody to come fucking help you because everything's in a case now.
Is it really?
Even deodorant. You have to press a fucking button and wait for somebody to come over and unlock a case to get deodorant.
Yeah, so I didn't feel like getting any of that stuff. So I ended up just going to Wawa yesterday and getting some Ricolas.
Yeah. Honestly, like, found out when Erica was sick, most things on Amazon you can get like same day.
Yeah.
So like we ordered like a bunch of NyQuil and stuff just off of Amazon because all the stores are just a hassle now. Like, I get it, like people were stealing that stuff and it's lost profit, but I'm not waiting 30 minutes for the one employee at CVS to be free from the register to come unlock the fucking case for me.
Yeah, I mean, I just much prefer not using Amazon. Like, that's why I don't want to order it through there, but if I have to, I have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you don't really get mom and pop shops anymore. That's the way I look at it. I'm like, whether you're going to CVS or Amazon, you're paying a corporation.
Yeah, but I'd rather pay I'm still getting local workers work if I'm paying Amazon, but I'd rather pay a corporation that has people actually working in the store that is more likely that if it shuts down, people are going to lose their job than Amazon. Like, Amazon's not going to shut down, but having a Rite Aid close will cause people to lose their jobs. Amazon's not shutting down, so if I don't shop from Amazon, I'd rather shop from Rite Aid or Walgreens or whatever.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I said, like I will often look and see if I can find stuff like if it's reasonable and I don't need it like in a crazy turnaround, I'll look for like the like mom and pop or like Etsy or whatever. But if I'm just going to be buying it from Walmart, I'm just going to buy it off Amazon.
Yeah.
But anyway, what is on the agenda?
On the agenda is we all should have watched Muppets Christmas Carol. And then Cobb, me and you played a copy of The Lost Ruins of Arnak, which was a game from Czech Gaming Edition, I believe. Yes, Czech Gaming Edition that they gave us a review copy of. And then I actually started playing some Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. And Cobb, you read Sphere by Michael Crane. Is that another one of his books that was turned into a movie?
Actually, I don't know. Hang on. I forgot there was a Sphere movie too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think so.
Yeah, I forgot that this was a movie. I may actually go watch this movie now.
Have you never seen it before?
Nope.
That's weird.
Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone, Samuel L. Jackson, Liv Shriver.
Yep, it's weird.
Book was okay.
Yeah.
Talk about that later. What did you guys right now though? What did you guys think of A Muppet's Christmas Carol?
It's fantastic.
I thought it was fine. I mean, nothing really stood out to me to be like, oh, this is the greatest movie ever.
No,
I thought
it is the best rendition of A Christmas Carol.
I thought it was a telling of that story for sure, but like, yeah, I thought it was good. I laughed at it. I don't really have anything to like incredibly boast about it. I also just wasn't feeling it when I was watching it.
That's fair.
Like, and it's not because it's not Christmas time. It was like I delayed watching it as much as possible because I wasn't feeling watching it. So like when I watched it today during work. Luckily, work has been very late today that I was able to like just easily just sit there and watch it. And I was just like, all right, this is like, and I admit it was sort of my suggestion to do this, but we just watched a Christmas Carol movie. And I was like, okay, it's kind of, I mean, it's very different, but basically the same.
This one is obviously more wholesome because it's Muppets. There's music in it, like there's little musical numbers which were fun. And also it's fucking Michael Caine acting against a bunch of Muppets, and that's just fucking hilarious.
That wasn't Michael Caine. He was too young. Michael Caine's only ever been old. Come on now.
I mean, that guy was still pretty old.
And that was 30 years ago.
Exactly. He's too young to be Michael Caine.
That's like Maggie Smith was 102 when she did Hook and then just got younger somehow. But no, like I enjoy Muppets Christmas Carol. Like it is not the first time I have seen it, but it is definitely the first time I have seen it in a very long time.
Same.
Yeah. I thought I was gonna have, as dumb as it sounds, I thought I was gonna have when they started to introduce the Ghost of Christmas Present, I started to like kind of have maybe a minor little like panic because I remember back in the day being afraid of the Ghost of Christmas Present of one of the Christmas Carol movies, and it must have been the very original old school Christmas Carol movie.
Which is weird because the Ghost of Christmas Present is always kind of like the big jolly one.
Yeah, but like in the one that I'm thinking, and it might be a completely different movie, but like the one I'm thinking of, I just remember it being like huge in this giant golden room, and like I don't know, it was just like the size of the enormity of this guy, and I don't think it was this one, but like I started remembering like, yeah, I remember not liking the Ghost of Christmas Present of one of the Christmas Carol movies and kind of being afraid of it, but also like I remember seeing Scrooged as a kid and loving the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, which I think is not scary at all.
Yeah, like I mean, like nothing. This movie, like A Christmas Carol, really isn't scary.
No.
In any of its iterations.
Yeah,
and like this one, least of all because Muppets.
Yeah,
and also like the framing that Gonzo and what's the little rat's name?
Rizzo.
Rizzo.
Yes, being like the narrators.
I will say, and I know like they were just kind of reciting the book, but like I don't know, to me the way that they were presenting it and everything, I feel like we kind of needed some rhyming. And I was like, I feel like we need some rhyming with these with what like the whole movie felt like like every line should have just been rhyming. I know it's not what Christmas Carol is like to have that, but it felt like it should have all had rhyme. I
mean, I can understand that sentiment, but also like, you know, it's it's a book, not a Shakespearean poem or whatever.
Yeah. It's just the way this one was presented. It felt that way.
Yeah, I guess
I feel you.
Yeah, someone like that narration with like Gonzo and Rizzo, like if they had been rhyming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also for the Ghost of Christmas Past. Was the creepiest looking Muppet I have ever seen.
Yeah,
and and not like in like a scary way, just fucking creepy. And I don't know if it's because they gave it that like glow to it, like that like early 90s special effects glow to make it look more like incorporeal or whatever. But like such a creepy fucking Muppet.
Yeah, it was the face. It was the face of Ghost of Christmas Present that really is like, because he gave me that porcelain doll face kind of feel.
Yeah, while still being a Muppet.
Yeah, and I don't. Well, that's one of my like true fears are porcelain dolls. A lot of porcelain dolls is scary as hell. So
we know, Drew, we know what to get Rich for his birthday.
Please don't. One of the scariest parts of Resident Evil Village was the porcelain doll sequence.
And we are filling your house with porcelain dolls while you sleep.
Nope, not allowed. I said so. You're not allowed in my house.
You're gonna come downstairs, porcelain dolls everywhere, looking at the stairs.
I will burn the house down and then get you arrested for breaking into my house.
You'll have no proof it was us.
It's live recorded right now.
Live recorded. The problem is, I can just cut this.
No, you won't.
I won't, but I could.
Exactly, you won't. So it'll always be on the internet.
Yeah. But no, well, I'll just buy one and send it to you in a box. You'll just open up, it'll just be this porcelain doll looking out.
That'll be the thing I can throw that'll break, and I'll be so happy.
There you go. And then I'll send you another of the exact same thing, so you think it's just coming back.
It will break every single one. Please waste your money on this. It'll give me some stress release.
But yeah, no, as far as the Muppets Christmas Carol goes, like I think it's a totally enjoyable version of the Christmas Carol. It and Scrooge are my two favorite like renditions of that, with honorable mention being the Flintstones version.
I don't know the Flintstones version.
So it's kind of like a split narrative. So Fred is being like a little bit of a Scrooge himself, but he is also in the Bedrock Christmas play of A Christmas Carol.
Oh.
So it's kind of like split between him sort of experiencing things like in his real life while also like being part of the play and trying to like every time he goes to like do like one of his scenes in the play, he then has to run out to go do something else afterwards. So yeah, it's a good rendition. It's one of those like made for TV like 80-minute episodes of the Flintstones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. I will say I don't think I've ever read Dickens's original Christmas Carol. So
you definitely haven't.
I did get sad that the ghost of Christmas Present dies every year because he's only the ghost of Christmas Present. So he only lives during Christmas Present. And then he dies afterwards. And that made me sad. And I got a little teary-eyed.
There you go. This movie did do something for you.
Look, I'm an emotional wreck in general, so like almost anything's gonna make me cry at time right now. So,
but yeah, that is actually one of the things about like the story that's actually like kind of cool, like the fact that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Though I don't think that the Ghost of Christmas Past becomes the Ghost of Christmas Present, right?
No.
That would be cool.
Why would the Ghost of Christmas Past become Ghost of Christmas Present?
I'm sorry, other way around.
No. The Ghost of Christmas Present doesn't become Ghost of Christmas Past. It just fades off into existence because it's only around during the present day of Christmas.
But what I'm saying is, like, after that one Christmas, that Christmas is then in the past.
That Christmas is then in the past, which then it gets represented by the Ghost of Christmas Past, not by a ghost who became the Ghost of Christmas Past.
No, I get that. I'm just saying it would be neat if there was like a whole like life cycle to it.
Then there would be 1,500 Ghosts of Christmas Pasts.
No, they just die and fade away. It's like a little chain. Like the Ghost of Christmas Future becomes the Ghost of Christmas Present, becomes the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Then you're saying the Ghost of Christmas Past is just a Ghost of Christmas last year.
Yeah.
No, it's Ghost of Christmas Past, not Ghost of Christmas last year.
But it's also the Ghost of Christmas 3 years ago.
Yeah, which is why it doesn't fade away every year like the Ghost of Christmas Present does.
Man, just let me enjoy like the story I'm telling in my head.
Well, your story is bad.
You're bad.
Maybe, but your story is also bad.
Look, it makes sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
But I don't know that we have a ton else to say about this.
No.
So Rich, you had an idea for a new thing to do.
Yeah, which I then have turned around and been like, well, here's the thing about my idea is the thing I wanted to do. It's not from the year that I wanted to do this from. But we found a workaround. But yeah, so the idea for the next book club was media of any way, shape, or form that you have consumed that came out in 2024 that you want all of us to consume. And it was, the idea was for like all of us to bring what we're going to bring up onto the table, so this way we could schedule it in case, for instance, one of us brought up a book or something like that. We would have time to read the book while also doing the other things. So that's that. I guess, yeah, that's the idea. Like I said, I'm breaking the rules because I didn't realize that Godzilla Minus One came out in December of 2023. My brain all last year was like, oh yeah, Godzilla Minus One came out this year and it was fantastic. No, it was like the end. It was mid-December or early December of 23. But they did release in 2024 a black and white version. Y'all don't have to watch black and white version. Just watch Godzilla 2020, Godzilla Minus One. It's the best thing I can think of from 2024, and it came out just before it. You know how like 2024 Cars came out in 2023? That's what we're doing with that.
I mean, that's how Madden works too.
Yeah. So we're bending the rules a little bit, but like the only other thing I'd be able to suggest us to watch would be Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a great movie, and I would watch it again. But I wanted to bring something to the table that you guys haven't seen. So I'm going to watch the black and white version since I'd already seen the original. You guys can watch whichever version you want to watch. It should be on HBO. But what would you guys want to bring so this way we can schedule it out properly to get the time to watch and to do it all?
Right. So I did not pick something because I forgot we were doing that part of it. I'm going to be honest with you. I will pick a movie, though. This way it's just like a...
I mean, if you want to pick a book, just bring it next week. And it still gives us a month and a half to read it.
So I'll look at some of the books. Most of the 2024 stuff I read last year is still not cheap to buy, and I'm not going to ask you guys to buy a $25 book that you're probably not going to enjoy. But I watched a lot of movies. I watched and enjoyed a lot of movies. Like I will find a movie from 2024 pretty easily.
Okay.
So well, I looked up a couple 2024 releases that I read last year, and like the paperback is 20, the hardcover is 30. So like that's a lot for like, again, books where I don't know that you guys would particularly enjoy them.
Yeah. I mean, you'd also have to make sure it's not like part of a series or anything like that. It'd have to be a one-off.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I was looking at ones that were like the first in a series or a one-off that also released last year that I enjoyed. So like, you know, like if we were just doing things that we did last year, changes a little bit because there are definitely things that are like older that I read that are like, oh, this book is $4. Like that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I'm not going to be like, hey guys, spend $30 to read a book that you're probably going to be angry about me making you read.
I don't mind. It'll get me closer to my goal.
But I also watched like 80 movies last year.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were movies that came out last year. So
I barely watched anything last year.
I watched one movie that came out in 2024.
Like
Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah.
I didn't realize at all that like how little I did last year until we were like thinking about the wrap up, and I'm just like, new video games. There were 2, and technically one new movie. Like no, 2 new movies because there was Godzilla X Kong, but that movie was not the best. It was nowhere near the best of 2024.
Yeah, I mean, like just right top of the list. Like I'm not picking this. Beetlejuice came out this year, and I watched it and enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So like there are definitely some movies to kind of pick and choose from.
Yeah.
That are on streaming platforms that everyone has access to.
Yeah. I like I said, I came up with this idea specifically because I just wanted to get you guys to watch Godzilla Minus One, because I thought that movie is like fucking peak cinema. It's fantastic and totally worth the watch, and it's an amazing movie. You probably will, and I just won't understand why. It's such a good movie, such a good story.
I just don't. I don't enjoy like that stuff generally. I'm gonna give it a fair try. I'm not just gonna go into it grumpy, but it's not my thing.
Yeah. Drew, do you have your ideas of what you wanted to do, or since
I would be picking
have like small stuff.
Like
it doesn't matter.
1 or 2 albums from last year.
Okay.
Maybe 3, depending on how long some of them are.
All right. That works. So then
to keep it to roughly under 2 hours of music.
Yeah. So then, since it's all pretty much basic, normal length stuff, then we don't have to really bring up anything else. So then, I guess 2 weeks from now, Godzilla Minus One?
Yeah, that works.
All right. Like I said, the black and white version came out last year, but just watch either version. It's fine. If you're not interested in watching the black and white version, you don't have to.
What if I just watched the Godzilla Kong movie that came out this year? Is that like the same thing?
No, it's nowhere near the same thing. It's good in its own merits. It's not peak cinema. It's good in its own like popcorn action film merits.
What was it? What's the other like traditional Godzilla movie from like a handful of years ago that people really liked?
Godzilla Minus One or Shin Godzilla?
Shin Godzilla. That was the other one.
Shin Godzilla was 2016, 2017, something like that. That's a really, really fucking good movie too. Like
I remember like 8-9 years ago, people thought that one was really good.
It was really good. That was the best movie since the first Godzilla movie. The best Godzilla movie since the first Godzilla movie, like 1954, up until Minus One came out. And then
Minus One takes place in like 53 or something like that, right?
Technically, yeah, I think so. Like, but I don't. It's kind of like becoming its own universe, but it does technically take place before 1954's Godzilla. But I don't know if it's supposed to be like in the same universe kind of shit.
Right.
It's a lot sooner since World War II than 1954's. So it might even take place still mid-40s. Mid to late 40s. I can't remember. Because like Japan is still in wrecks. Like cities of Japan are still near destruction in the movie. You'll see when you watch it.
I guess I will. Anyway, Rich.
Yeah.
What did you think of Lost Ruins of Arnak?
I thought it was a really fun game. I liked it's not often that like I get to do or we get to jump into like some form of like strategy competitive game like this. I haven't played a competitive game in such a long time. And it was refreshing to have a game like this where it was like we're all on our own. We're all trying to figure out our best way to move forward. You never figured out your best way forward. No, I was terrible, but it was just
what was your score? Was it like 16 or something like that?
So I was 16, Erica was 30, Matt was 59, and you were 60.
Right.
But it just like I kept getting bad luck basically. Like it was the things I wanted to, like the one time I just misread what I needed and just went the wrong path and then fucked it up. And then after that, it was like, I had a plan to be able to move forward a little bit more. And then was like, oh, I'm going to try to capitalize on this plan. And then I'm going to try to do better with this plan and do it this way. And then I got screwed over by doing it that way. And it kind of screwed me up at the end of the game. But Lost Ruins of Arnak is an engine builder / worker placement game. It's played across 5 rounds. I believe it's always 5 rounds. I'd have to double check the rule book. Gonna have to read through it and double check it when I get ready to do my review for the YouTubes. But it's played across 5 rounds where you take each round, moving your meeples, placing them to gather resources to be able to either buy more cards, to use coins to buy cards, to use resources to buy artifacts, to explore more new locations, things like that, to try to just basically, it's a victory points game. Player with the most victory points at the end of the game wins. And it looks a little complicated when you first see it. There are a fuck ton of
very complicated.
Yeah. There are a boatload of pieces but it is very straightforward when you get into it. It's each turn you can take one action. You have your list of actions. You take that action, it goes to the next person, and turns keep going, rounds keep going until everyone passes. Which is, your wife was saying that she thinks it's weird that there's no like limit to turns, but I'm like, there's so many games like that. It's a common thing where it's like you just keep going until everyone passes. But a lot of games will be like, once the second to last person passes, you have X amount of rounds until you have to stop as well.
Yeah.
But it's like that's a common thing I've seen in a lot of games, and I like the concept. I like the idea of like you're exploring this island, uncovering these ruins and uncovering different artifacts and things like that, and you have a whole research track. You might be able to get some assistance and things like that by going up that research track. It's not overly complicated with the resource management and like engine building to make it where every round or you're getting all of these points. It's that turn you place your meeple, you get those points, and that's it. And that's all your meeple can do, unless you have cards that lets you recall your meeple or double back on things. I think I just made a bunch of bad choices with some of my purchases and card drawing, and I maybe should have focused a little bit more on the gold cards, but also and a little less on the artifact cards, and focused more on just going up the research track.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. Like you were playing it like a deck builder, and it's not a deck builder. Like points you get for cards are minimal. I think it's like 1 point per card.
Mm-hmm.
What you get the points for are the guardians and for the research track.
Yeah. And the problem was I wasn't getting either the resources I needed to be able to explore a new location, or I wasn't getting the cards I needed to explore a new location. And it was mostly because I wasn't gathering I wasn't gathering enough compasses. I wasn't gathering enough of whatever I needed to gather to move forward and unlock and explore other regions. Yeah. For sure, next time I play, it'll be a lot different. I also ended up buying a lot of cards that were like draw 2, draw this, draw that, and so I was like, all right, well, getting more cards would help me with that aspect of it. But and I tried focusing on that research tracker, but you don't actually get as many points as it like kind of seems. It's like Erica got 30 points just from doing basic exploration and barely going up that tracker. If she'd gone up it, she might have been able to keep up with UCOB, but like she barely went up that tracker. She got twice as many points as I did. So, and I went up that. I specifically was going up that tracker, the research track. Yeah, but I wasn't.
You weren't much further along it than I was.
No, I wasn't. But I
think you only had your one piece up there too.
I had the book up to the second assistant. But I wasn't able to get it much higher. But again, that's
points jump pretty drastically. Like it goes from 0 points in the first spot to like I had my book and my magnifying glass like much higher, and it was like 8 or 10 points for each of them.
Yeah,
on top of the 10 points for the 2 guardians I had.
Yeah,
and however many points. What was it? 15 points or something like that for the for having explored new regions.
Yeah, it was. I don't
9,
remember
10,
what it
11,
was.
12. It was 13 because it was 3, 3, 3, and then 4.
Yeah, 3, 3, 3, and then 4. For which one?
So if you explored a new spot, you got that token to put on your board.
Right. Yeah.
The thing, and then it was worth points when you put it on that track, and it was like it was only worth doing it 3 times because the third spot was worth 3 points, and the token was worth 3 points.
I had 26 points. Because I didn't have anything on that tracker.
Oh, did you not count that at all?
I forgot to count that. So I had 26 points.
So you had 1, 2, 3. So it was what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you had 10 extra points. Yeah.
Yeah, I had 10 more points than I should have. And yeah, so you can have like by exploring, you actually by using that tracker part, you lost points. You lost 8 points. You lost 3 points actually by putting your tokens on that tracker. Because without putting your tokens on that tracker, you would have gotten 3 points from each either way.
No.
Actually, yes.
No, the first one is worth 1 point. The second one is worth 2 points.
But your token is worth 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So you used 2 of those tokens, right? Or I know Erica used 2. Did you use 2 as well?
Yeah.
So you used 2 of those tokens, you put them on that tracker, so you lost 3 points
But
because you
gained
covered.
6.
No, you didn't gain 6. You had 6 because you explored those regions.
No, so you didn't read the scoring rules, did you?
You get those points whether you use those tokens or not.
That's not what Matt said when he was reading the rules.
No, that's what you don't have to use those spots.
You don't have to, but you don't get the points if you don't put them up there.
No, you get the points. You just don't get the points from underneath if you put them up there.
Pick the rules.
Oh my goodness. This box is ginormous.
Don't do it right now. That's terrible audio. But no, like the way Matt explained it when he was reading the rules was if you put the token up there, you get the points on the back of the card. If you don't put the token up there, you don't get the points. But you also get like the other from there. But was this the game that you the accidental game that you got?
No, the accidental game I got was Hi-Fi. It was that record game.
Right. I remember you saying one of them was that, but I couldn't remember. So did you demo this one at the booth at all, or did they just like show it to you?
So when I went and spoke with them they have CGE Czech Gaming Edition. They tend to usually have their own room at PAX. And so I went, and I believe they also have a booth, but I went and talked to them at their room at the end of the weekend, and they were like telling me about their new game SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, as well as their other new game, Little Alchemist. When they were asking me about like what kind of games I'm into and things like that, and I told them what I like to play, and they were like, "You'll probably like this one, Ruins of Arnak." So they gave me this copy and said, "Once you're done with this one, let us know, and we will we'll set you up with we'll try to get you a copy of SETI." They didn't have any more review copies of SETI left, otherwise they would have given me that one.
Okay. Yeah, but you know what though? Like, it was still a cool game, especially like for like how complicated it looked like it was going to be. Once you kind of like sat down and like saw how the rules work, like it was really simple. There was just a lot of possible like moving pieces.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to figure out as what you want to do. So like turns may take quite a bit. Turns may take a little while to actually like complete because everyone's trying to just figure out what their path is.
Well, it definitely got longer the further we got into it. Also, like the first round was quick. The third, fourth, fifth rounds all took much longer.
It actually, I think it was the opposite. Like our first round took us close to an hour, but that was us trying to learn how to play.
Yeah, but I meant just like number of things we did, like actual like playing. It was very quick. Like
number of turns in a round, yes, greatly increased, and we just kept going around and around and around. And it's fun. I'm definitely interested in wanting to play the game again. I'm going to try to get a review out for it very soon. My biggest complaint is the box sucks.
Yeah, that was a bad box. So Drew, this game has approximately 3 billion pieces. There are no compartments in the box.
Oh, that's fun. I was looking at the rules, and yeah, whatever first page where it has all the components. I'm like, that's a lot of shit in this box.
Yeah,
they give you a billion little baggies, though.
Yeah, they gave a bunch of baggies, but they don't give enough for one baggie per set of tokens. But there are still a bunch of baggies, but it's like there's so many tokens, there's so many land pieces, or this, that, and the other, and it's just like it kind of just floats in the box now. Like there's nothing like holding it in place or anything like that. It's there. So like I don't want to move the box around too much because stuff's going to shake around and move around. I wish they had like some sort of like place thing in the box that I could have just put each different token thing for. I'm sure maybe, I don't know how old this game is or how new this game is.
It's only like 2 or 3 years old.
I'm sure somebody has made that. People make those things and actually sell them so that you can set up your game box in a way to where everything stays where it is when the box is closed. I haven't looked for one yet, but it's just like the cleanup was a little bit of a pain because it's just, what can go into what baggies? And let's fit everything into baggies. But other than that, like it was, to me, I had a lot of fun. It really worked some brain muscles that I haven't really had to work in a long time because generally, like I said, we've been playing a lot of cooperative board games that are like pretty straightforward, and not like super like competitive. Which I sometimes I have that competitive kick, and I need to win against you guys, and not just win against the board. There is a single player mode which I might try to get into at some point, but it's definitely not going to happen before I do the review. So maybe I'll do that with like part of a Let's Play or something when I do the Let's Play for it. But I ended up having like almost 4 hours recorded.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That I have to go through at this point.
Yeah, it released in 2020.
Okay, so it's 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours of content recorded. That I have to go through. That like ended up actually draining all of the space on my phone, and I wasn't able to get like the very end of the game. But we'll figure it out.
You got enough of it. It's fine.
We have through the last round.
And like you're not going to make a 2-hour video, so like it's okay to not have the very end.
Yeah, it's actually the second video or the third video goes from round 3 to the end of round 5, or to the midpoint, almost end of round 5. So it's like we went through round 3 to 5 in an hour.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But I think it was like halfway through round 3 because I'd gotten up to get something. I stopped the video and started it back up. This way, if things ran out, I'd still have content.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna the Let's Play. I'm hoping to keep it under a half hour. If I can get it under 15 minutes, that'll be even better. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to figure that out because it was a competitive game. There wasn't a lot of like joking around with each other because we're all trying to figure out how to beat each other, and then also how to help each other out without looking at each other's cards.
Yeah, like as we were trying to figure out how to play the game.
Yeah. But the art on the game is pretty cool. I do want to like maybe try playing the other side of the board. I think it's supposed to be like a little bit different or a little bit harder or something. It's like a different temple that you can go after. I didn't realize
the board was two-sided.
Yeah, there's so the side we did was like there was like a bird on it, like a bird temple, and then the other side is just a different kind of temple. I don't really know what it is.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not catch that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like I said, there's so many damn pieces, and it's also how SETI is. Their other Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence game that we might be getting copies for. It's a lot of pieces. It is worker placement, just similar as this competitive game where you're trying to like get victory points and explore the solar system to find alien life. And like each game can also be a little bit different because it's randomized what 2 aliens you might be able to discover in each game, but it's played across X number of rounds with X number of actions and whatnot. So it's a very similar game style. But I really liked Lost Ruins of Arnak. I definitely that will be a game that I bring to many game nights when I have game nights. It's definitely going to be a game to be like, look, guys, this is going to like sound daunting, but it's not as hard. We just got to get into it. Just got to play it, and we all have cards. We all have cheat cards, cheat sheets. Just use them, and you'll be good.
Yeah. It was a good game.
It was.
I found it enjoyable.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad most of us did. It sounded like your wife wasn't all too thrilled with it at the end. Even though she was third place, she did better than me. She wasn't last.
That's true.
I had a rough go at it. It was third round. I was trying to do something and I had just misread what I needed, or my brain just flopped it around. I was like, oh fuck, I didn't need to do that. I wanted to do the other thing. And when it came back to my turn, I couldn't do the other thing anymore. So I was like, shit. Well, yeah, that just screwed everything up. Like literally my entire plan was just fucked right there.
Yeah, and unfortunately it's a game where you can't really plan. Like, you can't plan too much because if somebody else just happens to move to a spot first or buy a card first, like, that's it. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, if your plan is to get arrowheads, and by the time it's your turn, somebody's already on the arrowhead spot, like, you're just kind of SOL.
Yeah, and it's like, and then that's what was, that was the big issue at the end of, in round 5 when I, like, decided to move out the wrong token. with the wrong meeple. I removed one of my meeples by using one of my cards, and I was going to use it to go to a different thing that was going to basically get me the same setup as another spot had. But like I removed the meeple, and then Matt was like, "Nope, I'm going there." I'm like, "Fuck, that's where I wanted to go."
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it's that kind of game. I didn't realize he had a meeple left, and if I had realized that, then I probably would have planned opposite to just pull the one back that I was originally planning on pulling. Again, I need to focus more on maybe looking to get more compasses. I did not really focus on getting the compasses, and when I did get them, I was using them all to get artifact cards because they seemed they were worth it. Like, a lot of them let me do a lot of things.
But the problem with the artifact cards are you also had to spend the tablets to do it.
Yeah.
So
like spending the tablets was like, it kind of like negated it a little bit, but that's why like I had the cards that let me recall. But if I had more cards that let me play to activate a site without having to use my meeple, there were a few cards like that. I know Erica had a few of them. Then that would have like been a little bit more helpful. I play this, I activate the site to get the 2 tokens, and then we're good. But I also just ended up just getting screwed over by getting fear, and at one point I was like, I'm not winning this. There's no way I'm going to win this. I'm just going to see what I can get and see what I can unlock.
Yeah, like I legitimately thought that Matt had won just because he had gotten so far up the thing. I did not expect to win by 1 point.
Dude, it was that fear. You got rid of more fear than he did. That's all.
Oh, he had a fear in his deck?
I believe he had 1 fear in his deck.
I'll teach him to have fears.
Let's see. Yeah, you had no fears. He had 1 fear.
Oh, do you have the thing?
Yeah, I have the thing. So he had -1 fear. But like you had the two artifact, or not artifact, the 2 guardian cards, which really helped you.
Yeah, because they were 10 points.
Yeah, you were able to get up that tracker with only 16 points. You didn't have that many points more. I had 13 the tracker. You had 16.
I thought the tracker was worth more.
No, it's only worth more if you can get all the way to the top. Then it's like worth 20 something.
Yeah.
And then get your book up higher as well. It's not really worth that much if you can't get up that high. What you won with were the what's it called? The Guardians. It was the Guardians, and you had more. No, Matt ended up having more points with cards. So it was the Guardians and getting rid of your fear.
Yeah.
For me, it was I had 17 points. I should have had 27 points because I forgot to count the 10 from those tokens.
Well, that'll teach you to not count.
Yeah.
But do you want to move on to Armored Core?
Yeah, let's move on to Armored Core. I started playing Armored Core 6. Our buddy Matt lent me Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon, and holy fuck, is that game hard. I encountered the first boss on Monday night at 9:45, and I didn't beat the first boss until after 11 o'clock. And that was the first boss. That was the boss of Chapter 1. There was also, like, technically some people say the first boss is in the first level. I don't count that as a first boss. It's just a really, I guess technically it could be a boss. You could consider it a boss, but there's no changing your mech. There's no upgrading. It's just you. It's a tutorial boss, so it's going to be difficult in a game like this. But I don't really count it as the first. This is the end of chapter, first major mission, first major boss, and it was rough. I died about 20 times. I made it short and it showed 20, but I think I miscounted. So I think it might have been 19 times. But still, it was just death after death. There was once or twice that I just gave up. Once that I restarted that I didn't count on there because I lost it in making the video, and the video is already running long. And then I brought it down to 1 hit 3 times. But what this boss does is it will pop a shield on itself. And if it can't take any physical damage until you take down the shield. And 2 of the 3 times it would pop the shield right up as I'm about to hit it with a good hit. Actually, all 3 times it popped the shield up as I was about to hit it with a good hit that would kill it. And then I would either be out of ammo or something like that with most of my weapons to where it became near impossible to kill it and I didn't have any more healing left. So it was just a constant struggle. It's also very early on in the game, and you can between like deaths, between continues, you can you can upgrade your mech and change its weapons and whatnot to see if like something else will work better. But you can't buy new parts, so you can you can only upgrade based on what you already have. And what I needed was a stronger shoulder weapon for one of my shoulders, but that shoulder only had one type of weapon for it. I was like, well, this kind of sucks, because if I duck out, then I have to redo this whole mission, with the mission already took about half hour just to get to the boss. And I didn't want to have to redo the whole mission. So,
you just redo missions, it's fine.
No, it was because it was so late, I didn't want to redo the mission. It would have probably, it still would have taken me as just as long, I'm sure, if I had tried it. But it's a very fun game. It's very cool. It looks really nice. Its story's a little weird and mind-boggling, but like no one really plays Armored Core for the stories. They play Armored Core to run around with giant mechs and kill other giant mechs. There's a really good tutorial mode in that game that teaches you about like the different weapon types, different gameplay mechanics, the different leg types for your mech and things like that. So like back when I was a kid and I played Armored Core, I always used the spider legs or the tank legs. Now it's like, oh well, the tank legs can do this, the spider legs can do these, and then I'm like, well, I want to actually like move around more, so I don't want either of those. I want the articulated legs, or the reverse legs. So the ones that like bend at the knee the other way. Those ones like you hop better, you jump higher and use less energy from jumping, and then you can like dodge a little bit easier and things like that. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for. It's like moving around quickly in my giant mech. I want to anime the fuck out of this game. And it's good. It works. It works. But it's very interesting to like really pay attention to the story. I've never paid attention to an Armored Core story before because I was a dumb little kid that just wanted to, like I said, fight with mechs. But it's tough. What
I saw about that game, it looked hard enough to like discourage me from even bothering trying.
Oh, it's from Soft Hard. It's from Soft Hard. It's from Soft. So of course it's going to be a little bit difficult. But this is like Soulsborne hard, and it's not a Soulsborne game. Like you can't consider a Soulsborne game, but it is Soulsborne hard. But from what I've heard, the first boss in the game is like definitely the biggest wall that anyone really encounters. And I think a lot of the reason is because you have less parts. You've played less of the game, so you're still like learning it. And that boss is just like, a lot of the game is like there's no face rolling it. You just you have to learn the bosses. You have to learn the fights. Which like it's to me, it's satisfying to finish these fights and be like, man, that was awesome. I defeated it. I was able to win. I had a good time. I loved it. But like I can understand it gets a little frustrating. There was a lot of obscenities thrown that night because it's just like doesn't make sense sometimes. I just don't always get it. Don't always get it what happened. There were a few deaths where I was just like I didn't even know I was near death at that point. I don't know what's going on.
But hey, you succeeded.
Yeah, I did it. There's 5 chapters in the game, so I made it through chapter 1. Hoping I didn't get around to playing it yesterday. I'm hoping to get like a decent playtime in on Sunday. I would love to beat the game by the end of next Sunday. So I would hope to beat it by the 19th. So that gives me as much possible time as I can to get into Ghost of Tsushima and beat that before Monster Hunter Wilds. But who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what'll happen with that?
If it's that hard, maybe you're not.
Exactly. It took me over an hour to beat one boss. So we'll see what happens. But it also only took me 4 hours to get to that boss. And so if the rest of the game is going to be it's roughly about 20-hour game. So if it takes me 4 hours to get to the boss and then 1 hour to kill the boss, maybe I'm on track. Maybe it's about 4 to 5 hours per chapter. So
yeah, how long to beat says like main plus extras 28 hours is the average.
Yeah. So I'll probably be on the right spot for it. We'll see what happens. But it's Ghost of Tsushima is daunting to me because it's going to be such a big game. I'll definitely if I can get into Ghost of Tsushima before February, I will most likely have it beat before Monster Hunter. But there might be some long stream days ahead of me with both of those.
Good times.
But I'm not going to force it though. Like I took yesterday off just because I wasn't feeling it. But it was it's a good game. It's a good game. It's tough, and I'll keep you updated on how long the next boss takes me when I fight it.
7 hours.
We'll see. Probably. I remember watching somebody play the game when it first came out, and he just kept doing the same mission over and over for like 2 hours. And like I wasn't paying attention to the mission, I wasn't paying attention to what he was doing, but I remember seeing him just constantly doing the same thing over and over. I'm like, man, I didn't realize this game was going to be that tough.
Yeah, I think I saw maybe it might have actually been like a GDQ thing of somebody playing. I'm like, oh, this game is just like one of those games. Like, yeah, now I'll skip it.
Yeah,
because like the idea of like giant robots is cool, but yeah, I would just get frustrated and then never play it again. You probably need more Mech Warrior than Armored Core. I remember Armored Core was always a little ridiculous and a little difficult. I never played Armored Core period, so I don't know what the originals were even like.
We used to play it a lot. We had it when we were younger. We had most of them. I never beat any of them, but I remember them being a little difficult and a little much. It's really cool the level of customization you can have with your mech. Like you can get into like the engine that you're using, the boosters, the operating system. Like you're able to overclock your operating system and your processor in this one and things like that. It's like really cool. Like it's a little simmy when it comes to like developing your core, but it's really cool, and it's just like a weird story. Oh, that reminds me, I did something else this weekend too.
No, you didn't.
I did. I watched Secret Level.
Oh,
yeah, the show on Netflix, or not on Netflix, on Amazon Prime. I remembered that because there's an Armored Core episode on that series. All I gotta say is everyone needs to watch the Pac-Man series or the Pac-Man episode. Because it's just weird. It's so weird.
I do want to check that show out. It seems like it could be.
I watched every episode in one evening. Like literally 2 to 3 hours tops. They're short vignettes. They're not long. Some of them are no more than 15 minutes. Some of them might be a little bit longer. There's honestly, if it's a game you don't recognize, you're probably not going to care. So you could probably just easily skip it. Even though I would suggest don't skip New World. Because that one was weird but funny. But everything else, I would say, like, if it's not a game you're interested in or a game you've ever really paid attention to, you could probably just skip it. Like, there was a Sifu episode, and I was like...
That was weird.
No, the weird one is fucking... what's that game? That just came out and was dead right away.
Oh, Concord.
There's a Concord episode.
Also a weird one.
Yeah, that's the weird one. Sifu I didn't think was very weird, but the Sifu episode, like, he uses all of his lives in one fight. And that, to me, I'm just like, that's bad. Like, that's unsatisfying to watch.
Well, they only had 7 minutes to tell the story.
But they could have done that with him encountering all of the enemies in the game. But no, he encountered the first boss of the first level. And he died within 30 seconds of entering like the club. Like it wasn't actually and I think that was the second boss. But like it wasn't good. It wasn't like really, as someone who liked the game, or liked the concept of the game, and was just upset at the fucking final boss fight and how bullshit it is. It was kind of a letdown that it didn't like feed into, it was like, oh, he's gonna die 4 or 5 times and be old as fuck after fighting one person. He's not ready to fight. Like, that was just kind of a, like, alright, well, that's a letdown. I guess he doesn't finish his story. That sucks. He doesn't get revenge. That's dumb. Oh, it was a little bit of a letdown.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I do want to check out that show, though. It seems like an interesting idea, at the very least.
Yeah. It is. It is. It's a cool show. The Mega Man episode had me wanting more. The Warhammer, that went really hard. The D&D episode was really good. Yeah, it was just, I'm trying to remember what games are, like I said, the Pac-Man episode is weird. It's based off of that upcoming game that they have coming out. It's not based on original Pac-Man. It's based on that Pac-Man game that's coming out in this year.
I didn't know there was a Pac-Man game coming out.
Look it up. That's all I'm going to say. Just look it up.
I don't think I will now. It's
No, look it up.
Yeah, it was shown at the Game Awards. It kind of looked like Ori and the Blind Forest, but Pac-Man.
Yep. Not even but Pac-Man. It was just a gold ball following you.
Fair.
Like, so let's see. D&D, Seafood, New World. There's the Unreal Tournament episode.
Is it Shadow Labyrinth?
Yes, I think so.
Oh yeah, during the development of Shadow Labyrinth, an episode of Secret Level based on a title was created to promote the game and serve as its prequel.
Yep. So yeah, there was an Unreal Tournament episode that was really good. I didn't really care for Crossfire because I didn't really I never played it. Didn't really care for it.
You didn't get caught up in it?
No. Armored Core has Keanu Reeves in it. The Outer Worlds, which Drew, I think you played that.
A little bit. I keep meaning to go back to it.
It was good. Exodus Odyssey. Exodus was just... I don't even know what Exodus was, so I kind of didn't pay attention to that one. The Spelunky level, or the Spelunky episode was really good. Concord, I just stopped paying attention as soon as I saw it on. And then Honor of Kings, The Way of All Things. Honor of Kings is a mobile MOBA, and this has nothing to do with any of that. And I was so confused at it. And I was just like, this is just, I don't know. I didn't pay attention. And then the last level, which is called Playtime Fulfillment, it was interesting. It was weird. But I think it's definitely a good series to watch. Definitely go check it out.
Nice. Yeah, it is something I keep meaning to watch and just keep forgetting.
Yeah. There were big names throughout a couple of them, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's in the New World one. Keanu Reeves is in the what's it called? Armored Core. Kevin Hart and his daughter is in the last episode. So like there's some big names in some of them, and then just some regular names in the rest. It was really good.
Did you want anything else about Armored Core?
No, it's Armored Core. It's hard. We'll see how much I like it when it comes closer to the end of it.
All right. Well, the last thing I've got then is, like we said earlier, I read the Michael Crichton novel Sphere from 1987-ish, which I also just found out today is based on, or the 1998 movie Sphere is based on this book.
I wonder if that's because Jurassic Park did so well that they were like, let's get all of his movies into books.
A lot of his stuff did get made into books. And I think Jurassic Park was part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the reason why he kind of got like forced into writing a second Jurassic Park book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Sphere. It is about, so the U.S. government finds a giant ship-like structure 1,000 feet under the ocean in like the South Pacific. And they've kind of like cordoned off the area the Navy has, and they bring in a bunch of specialists to basically go check it out. And the thing with this is, about 10 years prior, during the Carter administration, the first kind of like main character you're introduced to, who's a psychiatrist, is hired by the government for a lot of money, he says, as basically the reason he took the job, to come up with like a guide on how to handle coming into contact with extraterrestrial life, and like how it should be handled from our side, and like what the psychological factors would be on the people that had to interact with them, basically. So he gets brought along with several people that he had kind of like flagged as potential people for that sort of mission. And they find out very quickly that it's not actually a spaceship. It is some sort of like maybe time machine, maybe actually just like deep space vessel from Earth in the future. That at a certain point they kind of start hypothesizing that it potentially like got pulled into a black hole and got spit out on the other side in the ocean, because the government figured out that it had been buried there for about 300 years based on like the depth it was at and like how much like coral had grown on it, and based on like how long it takes coral to grow.
Okay.
So they basically think that like, you know, humans built this thing sometime in the future. It went on its like maiden voyage into the stars, encountered a black hole, and was even potentially like meant to explore black holes, and got spit out, you know, in the distant past, essentially. the thing is, like, when they get on there, there's nobody on this ship. So either all the people, like, died and, like, jettisoned themselves at some point, or the ship was never manned to begin with. But there is a weird sphere on the ship. Haha, the title. And it's one of those, like...
See what you did there.
Yeah. There's no seams or anything like that. It's just this big metal sphere, and they don't know what it is. And over the course of the book, several of the characters end up, while alone, getting the sphere to open and entering it, and then coming out of it and being kind of like shooken up and out of it for a little while, and before kind of returning to normal. And after the first person has this encounter, they start getting messages on their computer because they're in a I guess an important thing to mention too is the government has built like an undersea habitat down on the ocean floor next to this thing. So like these people were taken down there, and they have 72 hours that they can be in there before they have to go back up for like health and psychological reasons. Because if they're down there for too long, it can fuck with their bodies as well as make them go crazy. But so as they're down there, they lose contact with the surface because of a storm. So all the ships have to pull out. So they're kind of stranded there, and they start getting communications on their computer from a being claiming to be the orb. And then as this is happening, the orb is sort of like alien, but also childlike. So to the orb, everything is just a game, and it doesn't care that it's hurting people as it's like manifesting things. So like at one point, it literally starts manifesting like a giant squid that is attacking them and kills several people on the mission. And like things just kind of like escalate from there. Like one person has to go out to do something like in the water and gets murdered by like this giant what would be like a flock of jellyfish? Would it be a flock? Yeah, let's just call it a flock. By this giant flock
probably.
Okay, yeah, you know what? That's probably a better term for something under the water. Big school of jellyfish basically like attacks this person and just shreds their suit to pieces and ends up killing them. So they just
bloom, a flurther, or a smack.
I like Bloom. We're gonna go with Bloom.
Bloom is pretty good.
Yeah. So just like all this weird stuff is happening, and it's one of those classic kind of the big team of like let's say 12 people just slowly dwindles down till it's just a couple of people left. And you slowly find out that more than just the one person has entered the sphere. And throughout the whole thing, like you're thinking that, oh, this is responsible for it. And then one of the other characters kind of flips it on another one, be like, no, you also went into the sphere. And that character has no memory of it. And then you realize shortly after that person was lying to you, and they're actually the ones that had gone into to the sphere. So there was a lot of like mind games being played. And I legitimately like, normally I see that stuff coming in books, but I definitely, I thought that the character that we were following, the psychologist at this point, I thought that there was something up with him. Strictly because he kept talking about cake. Initially, the biosphere, or whatever you want to call it, in the ocean, had like a cook there, and she was all about making cake for people. And like every chapter, they'd be eating cake, and like this guy would always like mention the cake or like notice the cake. I'm like, okay, there's something weird going on here, and there's something with him. And it turned out I was wrong. It turned out like I was looking for conspiracies in the wrong spot. But overall, it was actually like a super interesting book, but was kind of like hampered by just some of the storytelling and specifically how it ends. It ends very anticlimactically. They all, like the three people that don't die, kind of like figure out that all three of them are sort of responsible for what's going on. And they manage to like escape and get back to the surface. And then because this sphere has given them kind of like, not superpowers, but like the ability to make things real in a way. It's hard to explain that part. They just decide that they all have to forget. So they all just will themselves to forget that any of this happened. And their rationale for it is this ship is built in the future. It comes back from the future to the past and crashes there, and they go there. The only way that happens is if none of them in the rest of their lives ever mention the ordeal to anybody. And the only way that happens is if they somehow don't remember it. So they all just sit there and be like, yeah, so we have to forget. So they all just sit there and they just forget. And I'm just like, that's kind of a shitty way to end it. Like, I feel like there could have been a more interesting take there. And they're just, for like a book that like you kind of need answers for, you really don't get many answers on like what the thing actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was it alien? Was it some sort of like future technology? Like, it's just kind of left open. And as far as I know, there's no sequels to this or anything. So it was never explored again.
If I remember correctly, the movie is very similar with its ending. Like, I don't remember like the exact specifics of like if they made themselves forget or whatever, but I just do remember the end of the movie. The sphere just leaves, and it's like, well, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, and like in this one, like the sphere doesn't leave, but it's still just they just acknowledge that they forget it, and they forget it, and like to the point where they basically they tell themselves they're forgetting it, and like by doing that, the weird power they have from the sphere like rewrites their memories of everything. Like, so like they think something totally different happened down on the ocean that explains why everyone else is dead and why the habitat exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that bit was just weird, and I don't really know. I don't know, like it brought it down a little bit. Like it's still a good book. It's still like I'd say it's worth reading because it's also not super long. But that ending just kind of like brought it down. There was also just some weird language used a few times. Like describing things as like wombs and stuff like that in weird ways. But overall, not a bad book.
Nice. Yeah. The movie was weird. It was interesting, but I remember it being. I was a kid when I watched it and it came out. I don't really remember it much, but I just remember it being weird as hell. Minor correction, or maybe major correction. Who knows? According to Quora, a group of jellyfish is called a swarm. If it's a sudden increase of population, it can be called a bloom. And according to ecology.wa.gov, Washington State, jellyfish smacks are common. An aggravation of jellyfish is called a mass or a smack. So, it's not necessarily a bloom unless they're overly populating the area, like reproducing. It's more a smack or a mess.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And the terms for things like that are always weird.
Yeah,
right.
Like a parliament of owls, a murder of crows.
Yeah.
But I guess that'll probably do it for this week.
Yeah, I think
unless you guys have anything else.
Nope.
No. Well, there was one thing that I saved on my phone that I saw. I didn't really read too much on it. But it was according to thegamer.com, Gundam has a Warhammer-like miniatures game that's coming out, or that is already out. Apparently.
I think that's been a thing for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw it on. It was a new article, and the title this was posted a day ago. Gundam's new Warhammer-like miniatures game misses the point of gunplay, which I don't know. I didn't read too much on it, but I was like, oh, Cobb, you like Gundam? There's a Gundam miniature game coming out.
I'm good. I do like Gundam. Do not want to play miniature games.
Are you sure?
I am positive.
Okay.
But thank you for letting me know.
Of course.
But with that, so in 2 weeks we're going to be talking about Godzilla Minus One. That's our next book club.
Can be found on Max.
Oh, it is on Max?
It should be. It was last year.
Good. I'm glad. But yeah, with that, if you'd like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of it helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. And you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And Rich, what does your streaming look like?
Twitch.tv/B_1us for video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Mostly playing a lot of Armored Core. Correction, it's on Netflix. Godzilla Minus One's on Netflix. Okay. Also playing a lot of Armored Core and Sea of Thieves, and maybe eventually Ghost of Tsushima. Also, as Cobb said, One Quest video over on YouTube, just to stress that this past Sunday, the 4th, we had a video come out about the upcoming board game Malediction, and then on this upcoming Saturday, the 11th, we have a video coming out about the game developer Gamey and their game coming out, Galaxy Fighters. So check that out.
Nice. And with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yas.
Bye.